and we have to discuss about the interview mock test 2023. What is the need of the concretizes the idea of the cooperative federation and not missing the policy power? Role of indigenous language in education. What is the role of the indigenous language in education? What are the reasons behind the implementation of the decision of Madhya Pradesh government to offer the MBBS course in Delhi? Hindi. Discuss the Articles 340 and of the Indian Constitution and the implementations, and what are the provisions of the national education policy related to the education in indigenous language? What are the benefits of the providing education in indigenous language, and are what are the awesome objectives and of the providing higher and technical education in indigenous language? मोबाइल दे तो मोबाइल है वो का तुमको चार्जिंग लगा मोड़ा मोबाइल मांग रहा era of the combative and the federalism. अब इंदा रुक जा. What do you understand by the era of the combative? ले चालू हो जा, खुदा ही नहीं जा रहा. How Prost amended to the Indian Administration Credit Rule and 1954 and influence and federalism, and discuss the terms war the between Indian Union and state with the respect to the IS officer, and how was the different and the interpretations and of the credit rule influences federation different between the center and the state, also on the following issues: GST compensations, action on the central agencies, territorial extension of the BSF. Discuss the need of the conciliations between the center and the state. One nation, one election. How do you see the one nation, one election and visions of the central government, and discuss the drawbacks and the positions aspect association with the multiple elections in India. How the multiple elections and puts the financial burdens and on the Indian checkers, and discuss the restrictions on the implementations of welfare scheme when MCC is in effects. What difficulties and India's and may face the while the conducting and one the nations and the one elections. Discuss the drawbacks and associated with the one nations and one election vision of the central government, and what if the governments and loses confidence of legislative uniform civil code. What is the uniform civil code and how it is can the impact Article 19 on the Constitution. Discuss the Article 44 of Indian Constitution, and what is the need and uniforms the code civil code in the context of India. What are the concern with the respect to the uniform civil code? Is there any the constitutional aspects to some state and under the Indian Constitution for the UCC? Discuss the uniform civil code in Goa and how does it the influences the law and order. Supreme Court observations. What are the AC latest observation regarding the ECI? Is collegium systems better than the NJAC and is removed? Voting for migrants and a good ideas, and what are the changes associated with remote voting? What does the essential religion practices test means, and governance as other public administrations is online gaming is safe or not, and is aid and tech distorting and the Indian education sectors. Do you think and the central agencies are the really independence, and do you think CBI is really the catched period? International relations. China, wolf warriors and diplomacies. And what is the wolf warriors diplomacy? Why is the China diplomacy the sum, and is it is the diversities the tactics and from domestic shoes, and which the countries are the armed and eight by China's crow and wolf warriors diplomacies. India, as India being targeted by the Chinas and wolf warriors and diplomacies. Diplomacy, and has India and being the targeted by the China wolf diplomacy, and what are the economic and diplomatic and ramification of these countries, and India's refugees policies, Rohingyas, and what is the Rohingyas crisis, and what is India attitude towards the Rohingyas crisis, the immigrations and are far, and how far has this and the crisis and affected India related with the Myanmar and Bangladesh, and has India played any role in the navigating the relations and between the Myanmar and Bangladesh based on the Rohingyas crisis? Which are the important convention globally on the refuse? Is India part of any of them? What is India policy on the refugees, and what are the security concerns that India with respect to the making of Greater India in Southeast Asia, and what are your the view on the Greater India? Is it expansionism and policy or only culture centric? Which region of Asia are considered to be the predominantly and part of the Greater India, and which event has led to the renewed and the discussion on Greater India? Has this and being adopted by India as its the official policy? India and the Nepal going beyond the handles of past, and do you think and that there is need for renegotiating and friendships and treaties and between India and Nepal? Explain the hydropowers diplomacy between India and the China, and what do you understand by the borders and disputes and their implications between India and China? What is BBIN? How military exercise can become the link for both the countries to counter current issues? Do you think that the initiative to the flourish the historical links in between the India and Indian like the Ramayanas and circuits can help nations to build trust? The decisions of India assistance for the buildings nations policy academy and integrated and check post in Nepal is correct or not? How corporations in the field of the renewable energies Nepal join the international solar alliances, and can the facilitate India one sun and one birds and one grid and initiative? NATO and India strategic and the autonomy. What is NATO and why was it established? How is the nature of task between India and NATO, political or military or both? Seems like. What is India's strategic autonomy in NATO? Why is NATO important for India? Will India NATO task can affect the former strategic autonomies, and India Will India NATO task and take away the formals from its non-agreement policy, and how India's engagement with the NATO can the widens and its the imperatives on relation with the Europe and US? How NATO engagement and with Pakistan and China affected India? What are the impact of this the dialogues on India relations and with the Pakistan and China, and how the focus of the thus relations with respects and to the Afghanistan and matters for India? Divergent divergent view of India and NATO about the Russia and the Euro-Atlantic security is important. How? What is the role of the Quad in India-NATO relations? India advancement in the defense technology and its the impact on Act East policy. What are the essential features of the Act East policy and how it is the different and with the respected to look East policy and what are the dimension of relations and with the East Asia and Indo-Pacific, and what are the disputes between the China and East Asian countries and especially maritime disputes, and how the increasing the impact of China in the relations due to BRI is related to India, and how is the India defense and cooperative significant with the East Asian countries, and how India and can become the net security provider for East Asia, and how India as a reliable source of the weapons and the BrahMos and to the Vietnam and the satellites imagery and to South Asian country. What is Quad in the region and how India participated in its the important security of supply of critical miners and US the minerals security partnership. What are the critical minerals? Why are they important, and what is the minerals and security partnerships, and which country is part for this the initiative, and what are the objective of this initiative, and what are the concern of India with regards to rare earth minerals? What is the position of India and with respect to the supply of the rare earth minerals? Is India's and part of the minerals and security partnerships, and has India's entered into the partnerships and with the other countries for their supply? And what is the lithium agreement that India has the signed and with the Argentina's? India's G20 presidency and opportunities, and what is G20? What are the objective of the G20 and how was the India and chosen to be the president and of the G20 in 2022, and what is the theme and the agendas for G20 and summit the preceded and overs, and why the India's, and what are the issues of the global concern related to the Russia-Ukraine war, food inflations, energy challenges and the stagflations, and what is the India contributions to G20, protecting India diversities and to the world, and India handling of COVID and financial inclusions and through the use of UPI. India strides and towards green energy. What are the opportunities and that India will have due to its hostile G20 summits? Building economic partnerships in areas and like the tourism, it and the pharma, except that getting expires in the diverse field. India, US 2+2 and past, present and future. What is 2+2? What is the specifications award awareness agreement and the commitment? Comment on defense, agriculture and intelligence direction bill. There will the military and supply chains management and between India and US in Indo-Pacific region. What is the outlook and on the Ukraine crisis of US and India? What is Lemua and Koskasa and the Beka, and how will the Lemua and Koskasa and the Beka help India role of the UNSCR and under which the principal organs of the UN does its work? Discuss about the global trades and the report and what and the nonsense and refugees aboard and what is the convention relating to status of refugees 1951, what is the known and the refoulements and what is the role of the UNHCR during the COVID crisis. Have it become other political tools and to the discredit and some the countries, and what crisis and rule of the war and the who is the Iram God Fortuners.